Welcome back to Anissa Naomi TV. I'm Anissa Naomi, and I help women elevate their faith, their mindset, and their health so that they can flourish from within. I am so glad for you to be back with me today. I'm so grateful for you taking the time, and I know that you're going to get a breakthrough through this. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is mindset. I have a very special relationship with this concept of developing your mindset, and particularly the concept that we're going to talk about today. I would go so far as to say that it changed the trajectory of my life. And it allows for me to continue to change and evolve and develop and unfold into the woman that I want to be. And I believe that if you use it, then you can also evolve and change and develop into the woman that you want to be. And I'm so obsessed with this because we're going to be talking about something that can take you from feeling like you're in a constant loop to being able to break out of a pattern and to bring consciousness to something that's happening every day that you may or may not be aware of. And I'm going to share with you how it helped me, how I first discovered this, and how it made me feel, and how not only is this a neuroscience concept, but it's also a spiritual concept. There are going to be things that I share with you that I'm going to be pointing directly back to the Bible. And you might also say, well, that's a neuroscience concept, or that's a scientific, biological concept. And both things are true. That's the amazing thing about our Creator, is that He made us in His own image, and He made us with these wirings. And there's also a way for us to rewire our brain. And it can be applied to every aspect of our lives. And I have applied it to all of them. And why this is so key and why it's so foundational to everything that I believe in and that I work towards and that I share and that I lead with is because it can be applicable to everything. And most importantly, though, our mindset and how we think is the most critical piece of our identity, because our identity is shaped with our values and our beliefs, and our values and our beliefs are the things that are thinking every day. Did you know that we have over 70,000 thoughts every day? Most of them are subconscious. Most of them are on repeat. Most of them are from someone else, whether it's our family, society, but this is all where they come from. Thoughts that are on repeat, thoughts that we don't even know that we're thinking, and thoughts that we might not have even chosen. When I discovered a lot of these concepts that I'm about to share with you, I was going through a moment of isolation. I felt like there was no way up for me. And not only that, it was a moment of my life where everything was supposed to be going well. It was a moment in my life where it was like I had gotten to the milestones and I had gotten the things that I wanted and things were looking great from the outside. And then in an instant, it was like everything came crashing down. And I went into isolation. And while I went into isolation, I decided that I was going to turn things around. And I decided that I was going to turn things around. Mainly, I was motivated by money. And while being motivated by money, I was also being pointed to the direction of personal development and personal growth and all of these concepts. And I decided that I was just going to buy in. Okay, if you want me to read this book, you want me to do this, you want me to do that, I'll do all these things, and hopefully it'll make me some money. And the happy accident along the way was that I discovered this concept that our thoughts create our results. And said even more clearly, every circumstance in our life, everything that's around us causes us to think a thing. And every time we think a thing, we feel a feeling in our body, our emotions. The energy runs through our body and we feel a certain feeling. And that feeling makes us act in a certain way, and the actions give us certain results. And therefore, our thoughts about our circumstances create the results that we have. And when I first discovered this concept, I in some ways didn't want to believe it. On the one hand, I didn't want to believe that every thought that I had and every result that I had created in my life was a reflection of me and not able to blame somebody else. But on the other hand, I had this moment of hope where if my thoughts create my feelings and my feelings are where my actions come from, then my actions create my reality, then I can create whatever reality that I want to just by thinking a thought. And we're going to talk about that today, but I want to talk about it with a caveat. We'll accept this Not only is it backed by neurological neuroscience concepts, but it's also backed by Bible. For as a man or a woman thinks, so is he or she. Your thoughts create your identity. Your identity is the way that you see yourself, and the way that you see yourself informs how you show up in life, who you relate to, how you dress, how you speak, what type of jobs you believe that you're capable of holding, what type of money you believe you're worthy of having. It's all correlated. And so we have this power. We have this power to create the very thing that we desire. But in order for us to start walking in that belief, we have to accept that our results up until this point, we're responsible for them. We were just as powerful enough to create whatever reality, whatever circumstance we are in right now. We were just as powerful to create that as we are to create the next thing that we want. And this is really crucial, because if you just want to say, okay, great, today I can start creating something new, and I don't really like where I'm at, and it's all everybody else's fault that I am where I am, and I had no power in being where I am right now, but I have so much power in going somewhere else. If you want, you can't have both. You have to accept that you were powerful enough to create the circumstance that you are in right now. That if you're watching this, you probably want to get out of. If you're watching this, you want to develop in some way. If you're watching this, that you want to change your circumstance in some way. If you're watching this, you know that that change begins with you. But the change cannot begin with you up the mountain and to the peak if you weren't powerful enough to create your own valley. And yes, there are other people, and there are other circumstances, and there's relationships, and there are all these things that could come into play that could factor in to why you are where you are. And you have a responsibility in the results that you've created up until this point. That is going to gut some of you, but you need to accept that about your present circumstances before you can create new ones. So I want you to pause and just think about how this concept of your thoughts creating your feelings, and your feelings being where you act from, and that being your reality. I want you to really think about, how does that make you feel? If my thoughts create my reality, is it something that's exciting for you? Is it as exciting for you as it was for me? Or is it as terrifying for you as it was for me when I finally realized that maybe perhaps I was doing it wrong because I hadn't taken responsibility for the results that I had created up until this point? Both are valid, and anything in between is valid as well. But sound off in the comments. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if it's something that you want to, have questions about. I would love to just have dialogue and work through that with you. And I hope that you're getting this. I hope that you're getting that I am not saying that you can think a happy thought and all of your problems will go away. I am saying that you can be intentional with the thoughts, that you can create new thoughts by examining, hey, what are the thoughts that I've been thinking? By understanding, oh, that thought makes me feel a certain way. I didn't even notice that I was thinking that. We'll do a reflection at the end, and I'll give you some prompts that will help you think through examining what your thought life has been like. But before we do that, I want to talk to you a little bit about the spiritual side of this. When I came into understanding this work, it was affirming to me because of the science. It was the science that was validating something that I already knew spiritually. And I want to flip it on its head, because I think it's become more mainstream to get to the logic of it. It's become more mainstream to say, well, logically, this creates this and this creates that. And then you just think differently and you can rewire your brain, and that's science. And if you want the science, I'm sure that you can go and find it somewhere, but I'm not here to talk to you about the science. I want to talk to you about the spiritual implications of this. I want to talk to you about how we are called to take care of our mind. We are called to watch what goes in our mind. We are called to use our mind as the powerful tool that it is to create transformation in our lives. So it's not just about positive thinking. It's not just about affirmations and looking in the mirror. It's about transformation. Using your mind, your brain, your intelligence to transform yourself spiritually. Let's look at a couple of verses. The first verse I'm going to read to you is Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Do not conform the pattern of this world. First, you have to know what the pattern of the world is. First, you have to know. To know if you're acting like everybody else, you have to know if you're conforming to the pattern of the world. You have to know what the pattern of the world is. You have to know even what your patterns are, what your habits are. Is your habit to get on social media, to scroll, to compare your life to somebody else's? Is your habit to what someone else has and want it for yourself? Is your habit to see someone else's success and wish that you were a part of it? What is your habit? Do you look at the things that other people have and feel bad about yourself? Do you look at how someone's hair is, or what someone looks like, or what their style is, and wish that you had it for yourself? Do you make yourself feel bad because you don't have the things that other people have? Do you think that if you just buy the bag or buy the clothes or get the makeup that somehow you'll be worthy? Are you over consuming in a way that makes you feel like who you are isn't enough? Are you over consuming in a way that makes you not even know who you are and what you like, apart from being influenced by people on the internet? Be aware of the patterns of the world. Be aware of the things that are pulling you in a certain direction and how you think in response to those things. Be aware that every time you consume an image, every time you consume music, every time you interact with someone, that you think a thought, and it happens in a split second. You think a thought and you feel a feeling. So you have to pay attention to how you feel after you consume. You have to pay attention to how you feel after you're hanging out with certain people. You have to pay attention to how you feel in your interactions with people. If you can trace that feeling back to a thought, then at some point you'll be able to cut the wire. But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Even the Bible says that transformation starts with renewing your mind. And not only that, then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. That's powerful. Meaning that when you clear your mind out of what the world tells you is important, when you clear your mind out of comparing and performing and posturing, when you clear your mind from all of those things, then you can see what God's will is. You can say, you have the discernment, you have the wisdom to say, that's from God, that's not. That when opportunities come your way, you can say, that's from God, that's not. That when new relationships come your way, you can say, that's from God, that's not from God. But that only happens when you clear out your mind, when you break out of the pattern of the world, and you create your own pattern by the thoughts that you think, by the feelings that you feel, by being intentional with creating your identity based on what you think. It's not a one-time moment. This is daily maintenance. It's like taking a shower. You don't take a shower every day because you're just so filthy. You take a shower every day because it's maintenance. It's general hygiene. So you renew your mind, you renew your thoughts every day, not because you're down in the dumps or you're so depressed or you're anxious. Maybe you are, and that's okay. This is something practical that might be able to help you with that. But you don't have to be so far off the deep end to know your brain needs rewiring. If you've been desiring for something in your life and you believe that you're taking the action towards it, but for some reason things aren't clicking, that perhaps you're doing it with poor intentions. Perhaps you're doing it with poor emotions. Perhaps you're doing it with poor thoughts. So you go through the motions, but you don't have any faith that it's going to work out. I'm getting off topic. I'm not going to talk about that today. Another verse, 2 Corinthians 10:5. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself against the knowledge of God. And we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. There are going to be things that come up that go against the truth of who you are. And the problem is that so many of us don't recognize that our mind is a spiritual battlefield, that we don't take care of it, that we let thoughts come in, that we let things that people have said about us, the things people believe about us, we let those take over what the truth of who we are is. We take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. When I was reading about taking captive, it made me think of this game, Capture the Flag. And we used to play this game, Capture the Flag, all the time in middle school. And what I loved about Capture the Flag, first of all, I was just competitive. I just loved that game. But I loved the competitive nature of it. And for those of you who don't know what Capture the Flag is it's like there's a field, and on one side you have one team, on the other side you have another team. Each of the opposing corners has a flag in it, and your job as the individual or as the team is to go over and get the flag and bring it back to your side. Once you bring it back to your side, you win the game. Okay, so you have to go into enemy territory. And the catch is that when you go over, once you cross over to the other side or whatever, the team that's over there can tag you. And if they tag you, then you get sent to jail. Okay, that is literally the picture in my mind that I had when I was reading this verse, getting ready for this video. This is war. Your mind is a spiritual battlefield, and the enemy knows that the easiest place for him to attack you is in your mind. He doesn't need to go and do all these crazy schemes. He can just bloop, pop a little lie in your mind. Oh, on social media, you're not good enough. Oh, in your relationships, you're not worthy. Oh, in your schoolwork, you're not capable. There are so many things that we tell ourselves all the time that we don't even think about. We don't even question. We don't even try to tear them down. We just accept it. That's the truth. That's the way that I am. I am not capable. I've never been capable. I've never been smart. And that's just the way that I am. And I'm not pretty enough. And my hair's not enough. And my whatever. I'm not healthy enough. I'm never going to be healthy. I'm not strong enough to go to the gym. I'm never going to go to the gym. And we just tell ourselves all these things. And the devil knows that we are not paying attention, that he can creep into enemy territory and steal your identity and you won't even notice. But not anymore. Now that you know that your mind is a battlefield, when you see someone, when you see the devil with his lies come across onto your side trying to capture your identity, you've got to get a hold of him and send him to jail. Spiritual capture the flag, okay? That is seriously what it has to be, because when you don't, you just lose your identity. You lose one identity and then you lose another. You lose another identity and then another. And then it just be until you're nothing. And then he moves on to someone else. This is war. Your identity and who you are. It's why Christ came and died. It's why the veil was torn, to give you a new identity. That feelings of unworthiness and shame that separated us from our true identity from the beginning are still the same feelings of unworthiness and shame that separate us from knowing our power to create our own reality by deciding what we think. So you have to be wildly intentional with the thoughts that you allow to come through your mind. You have to be wildly intentional, not because you're running away from the feelings or the circumstances, not because you're running away from certain thoughts, but because you're being observant, you're being intentional, you know what's helpful, you're deciding what you want to think, how you want to feel, who you want to be. You get to decide. I want you to think about if there's a thought that's been on replay for you. If there's something that you believe about yourself that you're not quite sure where it came from, you wish that you could be different. It could be something silly. Oh, I'm always late. I wish I could just be on time. Okay, well, what if we stopped saying that you're always late? What if we stopped saying that? What if we started saying, I'm working on being on time. I'm working on getting to places with enough time to be ready for the event when it starts. Oh, I'm not healthy. I can't get to the gym because I'm not healthy. Okay. What if we tried something else on? What if you believe that going to the gym is an act of good stewardship and that you can become healthy with every yes, with every time you prioritize moving your body by being grateful for what you have, being grateful for an able body. So you put it in motion and you steward it well. I'm grateful for my able body. Movement is an expression of my gratitude for this body. What I consume is an expression of this gratitude for my body. It doesn't have to be that exactly, but maybe that's a different framework. I want you to think about what you've been telling yourself and how that makes you feel, and how perhaps it is causing you to take the same actions over and over and over and over and over again to get the exact same results that you've been had, and then you're curious as to why you're stuck. You are one thought away from your transformation. It starts with recognizing what you're thinking, recognizing the thoughts that are coming into your mind and interrupting them, putting them down. They don't have a place here. Yeah, there might be evidence in your past that is who you are, but let's start making evidence for the future of who you're going to be. What if we did that? If we decide today that we're going to think something different, and that from here on out, that our only job from here on out is to start creating evidence of the things that we're thinking, to reinforce that, and eventually we have a new identity. And we do that over and over and over and over and over again until we've reached enlightenment, until we've reached our becoming, until we have arrived, until we've gotten to the place that we came here to get to. You can interrupt those thoughts. You can start to think new ones. You can take actions to create the evidence that supports it. And I know there's a truth about every one of you. It's a truth that I've discovered for myself, and I want to offer it to you. You're not the story of fear or failure. You are who God says you are. You are God's daughter. You were chosen before the foundation of this earth. You are lavished in God's grace. You have a seat in heaven. You are a royal priesthood. You were created for good things. In Jesus' name. I hope that this was encouraging for you. I hope that you've learned something new. I hope that this has just cracked open something in you to give you hope that you can create whatever is in your mind to create by being relentless with the intention behind your thoughts. If this encouraged you, or if you have questions, drop them in the chat. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please share it with them. I am beyond grateful for you spending the time today, and your future self thanks you as well. Until next time, bye.